Jagrative, Jai Masters. You shouldn't see your spiritual life as any different than your, quote, normal or worldly life. No progress will be made if that's how you view things. It's not something you put aside a certain amount of time in the week or the day. It's not something you just go on retreats and feel that you're paying homage, doing your thing. It's not about donating. It's not about serving every once in a while, doing something selfless, giving something away. These token, momentary acts are nice, but they really have nothing to do with spirituality. Spirituality is a state of being, not something you do or don't do. All of life is about your spiritual growth. Your relationships, your livelihood, your business, your work, finances. Everything is about spiritual growth. You are either using the things that are happening to you on a moment-to-moment basis to liberate yourself, or you are using the things that are happening to you on a moment-to-moment basis to try to cling, to get, protect yourself. You have a personal self. That comes along with the package. You got arms, you got legs, you got ears, and you have a personal self. The personal self is built inside. It's what we call the psyche. It's the combination of thoughts and emotions that you've learned to build around yourself inside that define who you think you are. And they're habits, just like any physical habit. You have an habitual way of thinking, you have an habitual way of feeling. And these habits and feelings end up running your life. As I've discussed so many times before, if you leave it to its own, it will not be nice inside. It wasn't made that way. Don't blame it on God or creation. It's something you did. There is a mind, there are feelings, there is a heart. Your mind, your feelings, these are beautiful things. You don't want to not have a mind. Mind's a great thing to have. It can think very lofty thoughts. It can analyze things. It can remember things. It's a wonderful thing to have. And you don't not want to have emotions or a heart or the richness of feelings inside. They're beautiful. I consider the heart like an orchestra. It plays the score, the music behind what's happening. It gives it a richness, a beauty to it. These are beautiful things that were given to you. Your body, your mind, your heart, these are beautiful things. What you do with your mind and your heart, we'll stick with mind to start with, this is not so beautiful. What happens is it gets uncomfortable inside. Why? Well, for one reason, because you stored discomfort inside of you. If you took bad food that you got sick every time you ate it and stored it inside your house and tasted it to remember what it was like to be that sick, you would not be healthy. Well, if you take the bad experiences that have happened to you, the moments in life that are not pleasant, and you store them inside of you, you tell me what the inside is going to be like. It's going to be filled with garbage, because that's what you stored in there, right? Just like in your computer. You can store whatever you want in your computer, right? Your favorites on your browser, you just pick one, store them. Nobody's doing anything, whatever you want. If every single time something bad came up on the screen, you stored it in your favorites, it doesn't work out good. Well, it's the same thing inside of you. So if you go through the moments of your life, experiencing and then storing negative things, then that becomes the foundation of your psyche. And that is the foundation of your psyche. So that's just one layer of your psyche, which is the things you have stored, the experiences you've had that are not pleasant to you, and you didn't let them go. You made a big deal out of them. You stored them inside. You made a collection, like people collect teapots or stamps or coins. You collect bad experiences. That's what you decided for your hobby to collect, bad experiences. Where do you store them? Inside. Your hobby bin, inside. So if you have those things stored inside, of course it's not going to be nice inside. You have a bunch of bad stuff stored inside. So what happens then, that's your first layer of your psyche. The first layer is that you've experienced things. That's natural. That's the act of experiencing is like seeing. Seeing is not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just a physical thing. It's a thing that you experience. You're able to see. Well, likewise, when you experience what you saw inside, it comes inside. You, the self, the consciousness, the indwelling being, becomes aware of what was going on outside. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the natural way of things. It's the basic function, it's the lowest level function of your mind, which is to permit your senses to pick up what's going on out here, send it in to you who live inside, and then you can experience it. So that's fine. But what happens is you have trouble experiencing things. You're not ready to be able to accept that sometimes things are not pleasant, and sometimes things are very pleasant, and sometimes things are neither very pleasant nor not pleasant. It's just the way it is. Sometimes the weather's really rainy and stormy. Sometimes the weather's nice and beautiful. And sometimes the weather's a little cloudy. And it's just what it is. There's all kinds of weather. But if you can't handle the wind, then all the other weather goes through, but you hold inside of you the days that it was windy. And if you don't like the rain, then you hold the rain days. And if you wanted to go camping, but it rained on the day you wanted to go camping 15 years ago, you stored that. You're storing the things that were not pleasant to you. Well, if you store the things that are not pleasant to you inside, you tell me what the inside is going to be like. It's not going to be pleasant. So that's the first layer of the psyche, the foundation of the psyche, that you have stored these negative things from the past. They're not happening anymore, but they were bad experiences, or anything from bad to just not what you wanted, and you stored that inside. So what happens next? It's not pleasant in there now. And don't ask me why, because I just told you. It doesn't need any more complexity. If you store bad things inside, it's not going to be nice inside. So now what happens is, you want it to be nice inside. Nobody wants to live inside of a filthy, I don't think so anyways, a filthy apartment with roaches running around all over the place and snakes in the walls. All right? It's not comfortable. So it's not comfortable in there with all this stuff, all the snakes and roaches that you stored in there. So now what you need to do is figure out how to make it comfortable in there. You listen to me. This is what's happening, right? It's just if you leave it to its own, this is what's going to happen to you throughout your whole life. Only thing that's going to happen when you get older is you'll have more. You'll still have all the ones you have now, plus every day you'll get more, and then sometimes really bad things will happen. You get divorced or someone will die, and now you really get a mess inside. And so it's not pleasant inside. The second layer of the psyche is you, the same you who stored that garbage in there, you who lives in there, try to make it pleasant in there. But you don't know how to. The answer is simple. Stop storing the garbage inside. But you don't. That's not even an option. I didn't like it when it happened, and I don't like it when it's get feeling. I don't want to ever feel it again. And so what you try to do is create a world around you that doesn't hit your stuff. I use your terminology. You got stuff in there? Trigger points? Can stuff hit it? You like it when that happens? Isn't that your favorite time in life? The answer is of course not. It wasn't pleasant when the event happened before. That's why you stored it inside. You suppressed it, pushed it down. I don't want to experience it. I don't want it coming close to me. Now when events from outside come in, they remind you of that. It's natural. Somebody's wearing glasses similar to what your mother used to wear when she yelled at you or when she gave you the nicest present. Who the heck knows? The point is something comes in and it stimulates these memories and they come back up. Well, I don't like that. It's not pleasant. And so, or I do like it. It is pleasant. Depends on whether the memories were stored negative or positive. Most of them are stored negative. All right, so now an event happens outside, it hits the negative ones or it hits the positive ones, mostly the negative ones. I don't like the negative ones. I don't like people saying things I don't want to hear. I don't like people challenging, et cetera, right? So it gets uncomfortable inside. I don't know what to do about that. I don't like it. Then you get angry. What's anger? You stored these energies inside. Anytime you hold energy back, either in the physical world or the psychological world, you are building up energy. If I have a teapot and I put heat underneath it, it has a little, nowadays they probably don't make them like they used to, it has a little hole in the top. It goes, all right, why? Because there's energy build up and it needs to release, correct? When you have some spare time and don't ever want to come out here again, put your finger on top of that and see what happens. That's exactly what is happening with this stuff you've stored inside. It comes inside with energy, and you give it more energy because you don't like it. If it passes through you, the energy finished. It made it through you. But it doesn't make it through you because you don't like it. So you push it away. When you push it away, I am telling you, it is equivalent to putting your finger on that teapot. It builds up inside. So now something comes in and stimulates it. it starts to come up, and it comes up as anger. It comes up as fear. You understand that? All that energy underneath that is swept under the rug and was rotting comes flying up. That's why people get angry when you say certain things to them. That's why people run away and they get scared when something reminds them of something, right? You have this built-up energy inside of you underneath because you have pushed these things down. So now you don't like that. I didn't like when the thing happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 minutes ago, and I sure don't like it when it pops back up again 20 years from then. It'll be a trigger point forever. So I have all this stuff in there. The world unfolds in front of me, which really has nothing to do with what's inside of me. What's inside of me is about my past. What's happening in front of me is about the reality of life in front of me. But it sure seems like it has something to do with me, doesn't it? That's because it's hitting my stuff. It stimulates the psyche. So you've been around the block enough times to know, I don't like it. I don't like it. I didn't like the original event, and I don't like when it comes back up. It doesn't make for a nice day. If I go on a date or I go somewhere with somebody and it's all pleasant, I want to have a nice time. I don't want them talking about things I don't want to hear. I don't want them saying things that remind me of what my sister used to do I? I don't want them doing anything. Not the clothes they're wearing, not the way they're talking, not how they treat me, nothing. I don't want anything to stimulate stuff inside of me that's unpleasant. So now there's a second layer of the psyche. I need to now do things inside, thought patterns, and outside, manipulating the world, to make sure that I'm okay in here. And that's how you end up spending your life. So you start rationalizing and thinking, do I want to go out with him? I don't know. What you're really saying is he going to hit my stuff? And if he does, it could be the good stuff or the bad stuff. If you knew, if God came down every time you went to go with anybody, everything, career, jobs, everything, and you could just push a button, bam, and God would show up. There he goes. Yes, like a genie. Yes. How can I help you? And you sat there and said, if I take this job, is it going to hit my stuff? And if it hits my stuff, is it going to be my good stuff or my bad stuff? In other words, when I go to this job, is it going to make me feel good inside or is it going to make me feel bad inside? Which has nothing to do with the job. It has to do with what you're bringing into the job. That which turns him on, turns her off. That which turns one person on, turns somebody else off. That which turned you on yesterday, turns you off today. Come on, be honest. So when you come into the job, it is not the job that's deciding how you feel. It is you that's deciding how you feel, right? The stuff that you stored inside, then the world outside hits your stuff, makes it come up. So if the genie or God showed up and you were able to ask, if I take this job, will it hit good stuff and make it feel nice inside, or will it feel bad stuff? And that's how you'll make your decision. If you knew it was hit nice stuff, you'd go take the job. I'll take a cut and pay. If you knew it would make you feel yicky every time you went to work and challenging and all this bad stuff would come up, you run right or wrong. That's what you're trying to do with your mind. You're trying to figure out with your mind how it's going to make you feel. That's how you try to decide who you're going to marry. Try to decide whether you want a house. Try to decide whether you want the job. You try to decide what you want your career to be. Try to decide if you want to go on vacation. Try to decide where you want to go on vacation. That's just hilarious. You've never been to the place in your whole life, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to lay this vacation out, and every single thing you have trouble making a decision is because you can't figure out if it's going to make you feel good or make you feel bad. All right? So now you've delved this whole other layer of the mind to help protect you from the layer that you stored underneath. Am I getting too complicated? You know something about this. And the minute you decide how you need it to be so that it will hit your stuff nicely or not hit your bad stuff, you now have developed a concept, a desire, a preference system of how you want the world to be so that it will make you feel okay inside. And every one of you have a different one. And that's not the end of it. That's like I'm doing your major layers of what you've done with your psyche. So the first is this garbage you stored inside that's just rotting down there, emanating energies and pollution. Then to avoid it, you try to have your ego mind, in essence. You try to have this mind that just tries to think about, how do I need things to be? Can any of you relate to thinking, how do I need things to be for me to be okay? That is what you think about all the time. How do I need things to be for me to be okay? And how do I make sure what they're not, that they better not be, so I don't get bad, all right? That's the next layer of your personal mind. But that's not the end of it. Now you've decided, you're trying to decide, how do I need things to be for me to be okay and not be not okay? Well, fine. So now you've decided, I want to get married, I want to do this, I want to have 3 kids, right? You get really specific. I want to get married by the time I'm 23, so my biological clock, but then I want to have a son first. Yeah, the son, you take care of the younger sister. And you got to, oh my God, you got to lay down for the next 20, 30 years, right? And I get the job, and I get the raise, and I'll still be able to do my career. No, I won't. I don't know. I don't know what you decided. But you know you're in there doing it, okay? So now you decide all this stuff. But it's not going to just happen by itself. It's the funniest thing in the world. You know that. You're not dumb. So you go out there, and your next layer of your mind, I always say it's like war. In war, there's strategy and tactics. I want to circle. I want to get the high ground. How? What am I going to do? What's my tactic that I will carry out the strategy? I'm not trying to teach you war. I never went to war. But anyways, that's how it is. All right? That's what you're doing inside. That layer I just told you about is the strategy. How do I need things to be? If I'm this age, blah, blah, laying it all out. That ain't going to make it happen. Now you task your mind with, it just makes me cry. I feel so sorry for your mind. You task your mind saying, okay, make it happen. Excuse me, sir? What'd you say? I didn't hear you real. Make it happen. Make people be the way I want them to be. Make them treat me the way I want to be treated. Make them say what I want them to say. Make them wear what I want them to wear. Make them not wear what I'm wearing when I go to a party and I think my dress is special. Right? Make the weather be the way I want it to be. I don't want it to rain when I'm going camping with someone I want to go camping to. I'm all excited about. And I want it to pour. I mean, pour and pour. When I'm not ready for my test, and I don't want to go to school and I want them to call off. Okay? So you've decided how you want it to be. Now you tasked your mind with figuring out what you have to do to manipulate people, places, and things so that it will be the way you decide you want it to be. Can you relate to that? That is your entire life if you live like that. So this life like that can't possibly work. You can't possibly get everything the way you want it to be. It's hard for me not to talk about it because it seems so silly to do that, but everybody's doing it. Like if you worked as hard as you could, you might be able to get the moment in front of you, one moment in front of you, to have people wear what they're supposed to wear and sit where you want them to sit and the weather to be what you want it to be and somebody talking to you the way you want it. You understand that? That's every moment. There's a lot going on. It would take a lot to manipulate that moment to get it that way. And what do you get? One moment. Then all of a sudden somebody leaves or somebody else comes in or a meteor falls or it's like I don't understand. The next moment's going to happen. And you didn't manipulate that moment. You did this one. You spent all your time doing this one. So how can you win, right? Because you've been doing this your entire life. Everybody's doing it. It's the plight of the human race, right? Store the junk that makes it uncomfortable inside. Then develop a system inside your intellectual, analytical mind of how everybody and everything needs to be so that my junk doesn't get hit, so it feels good. And then decide how to manipulate the world outside me to make it be that way. There it is. I've said my piece, right? That's what I call your psyche. That's your personal mess that you built inside. And when you walk up and meet somebody, that's who you're meeting. That's who you're meeting. Somebody who's done that. You don't know what stuff they got in there. You weren't with them their whole life. And then they developed this whole model of how it needs to be for them to be okay. You don't know what that is. Not slightly. Then they've developed how you need to be, even though they just met you. You fit in there. How you need to be so that they feel right about themselves. And you wonder why we have so much trouble getting along. Because not only are they doing that to you, you're doing that to them. So it's like I just looked there. That's why I moved out to the woods when I was young. It's like that did not seem like so much fun. All right. What's the alternative? The alternative is called spirituality. Spirituality is not meditation. Spirituality is not going off to India and hanging out with a guru. Spirituality is not doing a mantra. Spirituality is not your belief structure. Spirituality is not your clothes. It's not your food. Spirituality is the alternative to what I just said. It's an entire paradigm shift of a lifestyle, of your entire being. Not lifestyle meaning what you eat and what you wear, right? But your entire motive and principle and basis of how you're living your life is an entire different life. That's what spirituality is. So now we've painted this one life. I don't know what you want to call it. You know, your worldly life. Why is it a worldly life? Because everything you need to do now is about manipulating the world around you so that it doesn't bother you or maybe makes you feel good. You're driven out here constantly to look at what everybody's doing and what they're saying and what they're thinking so that you can feel okay. So you're like now completely dependent upon what is coming in through your senses and how it happens to hit all your stuff. If somebody all of a sudden starts telling you something that matches your model of what you decided things, I just got a house up in New York and my wife left me and would you take it for me just for a while? And you're dying to live in New York. You always thought so. And all of a sudden you get so excited. Your whole life's going to be wonderful because it's matching what it is you decided would make you feel okay with yourself. Didn't change a single thing. You still got the same garbage inside. You still got the same model that even if that fits, something else won't. It'll be too cold up there, or the neighbors will be noisy. They'll have shotguns. And have you been around the block enough to know it will never, ever be what you want it to be? I want to say there's always something wrong. That's a ridiculous thing to say. There'll just always be something. You're the one who said it was wrong. Let's say you're a gun enthusiast and you love that the neighbor has guns. Let's say you're totally against all that stuff and all you want is peace and quiet meditation. Boom, boom is going on all the time. It's like you're deciding what's right and wrong based upon whether it fits your model. So you have this thing that you're doing, and we'll just call that the personal way of living. That what you've done is owned yourself, kept yourself, modeled around it, and now you need the world to be a certain way for you to be okay. What is spirituality? The exact opposite. Oh my God, what do you mean? Spirituality is very, very simple. Not simple to do, but simple to understand. It takes way less words than what I just did. All right? I have all this stuff stored inside of me. Get it out. That is what spirituality is. That's why Buddhists say work at the root. The root of that whole mess I just painted you is that you stored the stuff inside of you that's now causing trouble. It's making it difficult to live in there because you have these bad energies inside. It gets scary, doesn't it? It gets insecure and you get jealous and you get guilty and all kinds of stuff goes on in there, doesn't it? All right? Because you got garbage in there. Spirituality in the end says you need to get that out. If I get that out, then I don't have to develop a model of how I need things to be for me to be okay. Because I'm not okay. Spirituality is not about being okay. It's about not being okay. There's a big difference. One, you have to go out there and find the thing that will make me be okay and put it in here. The other is, I guess I could be okay if I stop doing the things that make me not be okay. It's if you're sitting there eating bad food, right, chewing on rocks and drinking it down with kerosene. That's what I always use. That's not good for you, right? I'm telling you, that will not work out well. And so you're sick. It is not about finding something to eat on top of that will make you feel better. It's not even about going to a doctor. It's not even about getting your teeth fixed. It's not even about getting your stomach pumped. It's about stop it. Stop doing the thing that's making you sick, and you will not have to find out how to be well. You stop doing what's causing the problem. What is causing the problem inside, and the reason it is not pleasant inside, and you have to work so hard to make things be the way you need them to be so you can have a few moments of pleasantness and avoid the tremendous discomforts that can go on inside, is because you have stored this garbage inside of you. So it's all about living inside out. What does that mean? Right now you're keeping yourself and you're trying to make a world match yourself so that you don't bother yourself. Can you relate to that? Do you understand that? Spirituality is about not keeping yourself, letting go of yourself. How did Christ put it? You must die to be reborn. It is about letting go of this stuff that you stored inside and then built all this self-concept around. If you let go of the stuff, you don't need to develop a concept of the world that says, how does everybody need to be for me to be okay? Because it's not making me not be okay. Right? So I'm fine. That's the whole thing. I'm just fine. I'm fine. Why? There better be no reason. If there's a reason why you're fine, it won't last. It has to literally be, I'm fine. Why? Because I'm not fine. That's why I'm fine. I don't have this garbage inside of me, so what you're saying is not hitting my stuff. I'm sitting here talking to you, and all of a sudden your eye gets distracted by somebody else, and you all of a sudden, in the midst of my sentence, in the middle of my sentence, you just walk away over to her, right? Now it's like, oh my God, what's wrong with him? It's totally, because it didn't match who I need you to be when you're interacting with me. It slighted me. It made me feel embarrassed, made me feel little. It was like, what kind of a way is that to treat me? I will not be treated like that. If you have worked on yourself, you realize, yeah, men are attracted to women. Nice woman. Okay, bye. He's just there. It had nothing to do with you, did it? It had nothing to do with you. It had more to do with him than it had to do with you. So you don't take it personal. And you actually you're fine. And even when you see him again, you're not afraid of him. You're not mad at him. You don't have to say anything to him. You're empty. That's what it means to be empty. You're living in a beautiful place inside that can't be disturbed by his disturbances. Otherwise, everybody's got just as much junk as you do, and you're trying to make them be the way you need them to be for you to be okay. I told you they're trying to make you be the way, et cetera, et cetera. You don't stand a chance. It's war. It's just out there fighting. And to feel like that, you have to struggle, don't you? There is no struggle. There's just life. It's easy. It's just a beautiful experience of one moment after the other, unless you have this stuff inside that you need to protect yourself from by manipulating everybody and everything outside of you. So spirituality is a complete paradigm shift. It is about letting go of the stuff that's inside of you, not putting layers on top of it, and then being dependent upon everybody and everything so you can be okay. That's why spirituality is not something you do on the weekends. It's not just sitting down to meditate. Here, how much of the time when you're awake are you trying to get everything around you to be the way you need it to be so you're going to be okay? That's right, 100%. I'm serious. I wish I eat. Why do I have to floss? I don't like flossing. Every single thing is about what I want and what I don't want and how to get it and how to avoid it. So 100% of your time, weekends you do it too? Yeah. Work, yeah, right? All the time. That's what's happening. That's what spirituality has to become. It's the thing you're doing all the time. You're doing this instead of doing that, but you're doing it for the same reason. The reason you're doing that, all that garbage, is because you want to be okay. And that's the best you can do to try and be okay. Find somebody who treats you the way you want to be treated and make sure they stay there and don't talk to other people. You got to manipulate and control everything to be okay. The reason you do spirituality is exactly for the same reason. I want to be okay. I just found a way that works. It's not renunciation. It's not, some weird thing. It's just basically saying, I have found out that chewing on rocks and drinking kerosene, that's what's making me not feel good. It's not that the doctor's not good. It's not my job, right? And so you get to the point where you say, I'm going to stop doing it. That's what I'm going to do. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You got habits you got to break. You got all kinds of stuff. This is your biggest habit, is your addiction to this psyche. Your psyche tells you what to do all the time. You're not feeling good. You're feeling lonely. So you decide to go to a party. Okay? You get all excited about it. You heard some people are going to be there. You buy an outfit. You do a thing, blah, blah, blah. And you go there, and your mind, your psyche, remember I told you what the psyche's made out of. That's not you. It's this model that you built. Starts saying, oh my God, this is great. Look, Sally's over there and George's over there. And it's, oh my God, there's Harry. Oh my God, I don't want to see Harry. I don't want to see Harry. I had enough Harry. All right, I want to go. I don't want to be here. I want to go. And you leave. You actually leave. You actually let your psyche tell you what to do, and you do it. That's really funny to me. He didn't ruin your night. You did. Your psyche could have just said, oh, there's Harry. Nice to see him again. Right? It's just your mind. Your mind ruined your life. And if you watch it carefully, it's doing it all the time. It's telling you what to do, telling you what not to do. Oh my God, you feel terrible. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Do you think he heard you? He heard you. You know he heard you. That's going on inside your head. No wonder life is so hard. So spirituality is about taking arms against the sea of troubles. And you sit there and you say, I am not going to do this anymore. Well, I'm not going to drop out of life. It's not about dropping out of life. It's about living life for a different reason. Here's my reason. Ready? Okay, I'm going to work. But I'm not going to work to get enough money so I can enjoy my weekend. I'm not going to work to prove myself that I'm better than other people so I can feel good about myself. I'm not going to work so my father will understand that I'm not really just a bum. And I'm not going to work for any reason like that, to feed my psyche, all right? I'm going to work because when I go to work, it hits my stuff. Have you noticed? Stuff gets hit a lot, doesn't it? Good. Why? Because any of the stuff it hits, I'm letting go of. I don't have to go, cave diving down there to figure out what I've stored in there, right? It comes up by itself, doesn't it? Pretty natural. Somebody's going to say something, somebody's going to do something, and even if they don't, it'll bother you. When somebody comes and talks to you, bothers you, when he doesn't come and talk to you, bothers you, doesn't take much, does it? Some of your boyfriend goes over and talks to somebody a little too long, it bothers you, they don't talk to them, you figure they really got something going, they're hiding it, man, they're not even talking to each other. Who's blushing? Right? It does stuff like that, doesn't it? Isn't it cute? No. All right? So now you are literally living your life inside out. You're living your life to say, I'm just going to go about every moment of my life, and I know darn well that I got garbage in here, and it's going to get hit. And my practice is to let it go. I don't want it inside of me, and I don't want to build a layer of protection on top of it, and I don't want to try to manipulate to match that protection. I will not live that life, not a single second at any time. I am just going to go out into my world. I'm not looking to cause myself trouble. I'll go about my business. Then I'm going to sit there and say, I'm going to do my work. I'm going to actually go to work for a very interesting reason, to do the work. Isn't that be weird, right? I'm going there to actually do the work, to get the work done, not to prove myself, not to get money, all right, just to do the work. So I'm sitting there doing the work. Well, inevitably, while I'm doing the work, it's going to work on me. I'll worry, oh my God, it's my boss, he won't like what I'm doing. I'm just doing my work. You just learn to ignore what it's saying. You learn to understand that talky voice inside your head is just representing the garbage you have stored inside. You remember last time you tried to do it and he criticized you. I don't want to be criticized again. There we go, man. It smells, doesn't it? Oh, I want that to smell, okay? It smells of the stuff you stored from before. It's pollution, and that's what's coming up. And so you get to the point where you realize, okay, I don't want to adjust what I'm doing based on this garbage that's coming up from those 3 layers that I talked to you about, okay? And so it'll tell you, just go to the bathroom, quick, before he comes, quick, go on. He says, no way. There's no way I'm listening to him. He is the result of the 3 layers trying to protect himself and do something so I can keep that garbage inside. Because if anything you do, it's like I decided to stop smoking or drinking, right? Now, okay, all right, just real quick, I'll have a cigarette. I decided I want to get rid of this stuff. Why am I going with it? Why am I doing stuff that makes it so it will be reinforced? Because that's what you're doing. But I've always had a problem with jealousy. Okay, do you want to continue having a problem with jealousy? I mean, fine. We have trouble with guilt, problem with jealousy, problem with insecurity. We all got lots of problems. Well, you have to have those problems. Why? Because you stored all this garbage inside of you, and it just cooks up in there, and it smells. If you dump pollution to the rivers get polluted. If you store pollution inside of you, your inside becomes polluted, and it shows up as insecurity and jealousy and fear and all that kind of garbage. All right? Now the question is, when it comes up, it's going to start talking through your head. That voice in your head is the representative of that garbage. And so it'll tell you what to do that matches the garbage or protects the garbage. At some point in your life, I'm begging you, maybe this will be the point, you wake up and realize, it's not easy to let go of that stuff. The reason I stored it inside is it didn't feel pleasant. Well, it doesn't feel pleasant when it comes up again, does it? It feels just as unpleasant when it comes up again, maybe more. And so it comes up, and you realize if I go with it, I am buying into it. I am being weak. I am saying, yes, you get to run my life. If I don't go with it, what does it mean not go with it? You just keep doing what you were doing, and he's talking, and I'm not paying attention, and I am not going to let him run my life. It's that simple, all right? And then the next thing you know, the vast majority of the time, and I mean, I don't want to put a number on it, but it's around 95. There's the single thing that happens if you don't listen to him. If you stay at that party when Harry's there, next thing you know, Harry leaves. He gets a call, or he's concerned, he doesn't want to be near you. So you just have a nice time at the party. Do you understand that, right? It just creates this panic. It creates this melodrama. That's what it is. It's pretty melodramatic, isn't it? It creates this noise and melodrama and thing inside that you go with. Wait till you see how stupid it is when you realize if you don't go with it, it just goes away. If you can tolerate the noise it's making because of the discomfort you're feeling because of the problems you stored inside, all of which have nothing to do with what's going on outside, nothing, and you can tolerate and release it, it just passes by. The moment passes by, you're still there. Oh, okay, boss walked by, he didn't even come up to me. But I was about to ruin the project and do all kinds of stuff. So now you let it go, and the next thing you're going to find out, is what I found out at an early age, is if you let it go, a piece of it goes. Not all of it, necessarily, but every time it's like a habit. Every time you don't take a cigarette, what happens? It's easier to not take the next one. Every time you take one, it's harder to not take the next one. That's how habits work. When you don't go with this stuff, a piece of it chips off. When you can tolerate the bad feeling from something from childhood or this or the other thing, a piece of it goes. So you just keep going about your business, letting go of yourself. That is what's meant, letting go of yourself. It is a matter of, am I willing to let go of myself at the deepest possible level every moment of my life? Believe me, you have plenty of opportunity at work, you have plenty of opportunity in relationship, plenty of opportunity with finances, to let go of yourself, don't you? Don't you dare think, I'll let go everywhere, but here, this is my home. A man's home is his castle, and everything should be the way. It's 100%. You're letting go. No matter what's coming up, there are no rules, no right, no wrong. It's if it's coming up in there, I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go, right? And that's what defines your relationship. Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with releasing. And you'll be a very pleasant person to live with, I guarantee you. Do you understand that? Because you're not demanding that another person be the way you need them to be so that you're okay. Can I repeat that? That's what you think a relationship is. We have a little pact. Each of us will be the way the other person needs them to be so that we won't step on each other's stuff and we'll try to be nice to each other. Okay, good luck. All right? It is better to sit there and say, the purpose of this relationship is use it to go to God. That's what Ramdas used to say. Use it to go to God. I'm going to use the unfolding of the interaction of, and it doesn't be a love relationship, it could be a work relationship, it could be a friendship relationship. It doesn't matter. Relationships mean more than just, right? Every interaction with another human being is a relationship, right? Every one of these is a matter of letting go of the part of you that is causing you trouble. Why wouldn't I not use my friendship for that? If you're my friend, you'll help me go to God. You'll help me purify. And believe me, you don't even have to try. Just the way you are does it. Okay? It's just amazing, right? And that's my friends. When I'm talking about my enemies, all right? Your enemies are your best friends. There's a great saint. He said that you understand your enemies are your best friends. Your friends try to help you protect yourself so you don't have to deal with yourself. They all agree with you. You're right, I can't believe he said that to you. I would be hurt like that too. I wouldn't tolerate that. Oh my God. There, that's your friend. Nah, I don't think so. All right? Your enemy says, deal with it. Just deal with it. Who cares? Right? It's so challenging you, aren't they? So it's challenging you to let go of, say, yourself. Okay? It's people who challenge you. Good. So all of a sudden your friend is your friend, your enemy is your friend inside. And I'm telling you, I'm trying to explain to you what it means to live a spiritual life. That's a little different than sitting up there meditating every once in a while and wearing white. It is about every moment of your life is about letting go of the part of you that is coming up that moment. Because there's always stuff in there. All right? All right. I'm telling you, there's a limit. I know you don't believe me. There's a limited amount of stuff in there. There's a lot, but it's limited. Okay? And if you're willing to let it go on a regular basis, and I'll teach you how to do that, but you want to let it go on a regular basis, it's going to start to get lighter in there. And you're going to start to have less and less problems all by themselves. Right? The world will seem like a much nicer place. It's because it's not hitting your stuff. And you'll find interest and excitement and enthusiasm in all kinds of things that used to scare you, that used to seem challenging, that you used to be afraid of. And when you start enjoying all the different aspects of life, you have no more decision-making problems. Why? What do I care? They're all fun. I want you to have trouble deciding what to do because they both look like so much fun you don't know what to do. That's not what's happening. You're afraid that you'll make a bad decision. There are no bad decisions. Here's a good decision. You make a decision and everything unfolds beautifully and you feel real good inside and everything's wonderful. That's a really good decision. Make another decision and everything hits your stuff and you have a tremendous period of growth. That's a really good decision. I want you to be in a win-win situation. Now it's win-win. I got in a relationship and it really seemed it was going to work out. It was the worst thing that ever. Oh my God. I just felt all this insecurity came up. Like when I was young, I felt that kind of thing. I said, good, congratulations. She was your guru. It's like every single thing is for your benefit if you are willing to let go of yourself. So now the question becomes, okay, I get it. You see, that's an alternative lifestyle, isn't it? Even though you live just like everybody else, but inside your whole motive and purpose of life is completely turned around. It's about getting rid of myself, not getting for myself. So now how do you do that? Crash course. Right? I don't teach techniques like other people do, breathing. They're important. I don't knock them. You need these things, right? But I teach much more meaningful techniques, which is how to achieve a state inside yourself to where you're willing to do this. All right? Because it's not easy, is it? You're talking about taking on what's you've been running away from your whole life. Right? Your whole life is about running away from this stuff. Now it's about letting go. So what do? That's where meditation comes in. That's where different techniques come in. Are you ready, willing, and able to relax and sit inside while your stuff is coming up? That's what it's all about. Are you ready, willing, and able to be conscious and sit inside and keep your hands to yourself when this stuff is coming up? It feels terribly uncomfortable. It hurts the heart. The mind starts puking, saying things, right? Are you able to sit inside, breathe, and let it go when it's coming up? Because anything you do makes it stay. It is only by relaxing and releasing that it has an opportunity to go. If you try to slow it down, if you're not so fast, anything you do is trying to protect yourself from it. Well, maybe I should talk to him about what he said. He probably didn't mean to hurt me. If he knew how much he hurt me, I'll call him. What are you doing? You're trying to stop it from coming up. You want to grow spiritually? This is serious growth. You don't do things that protect yourself from yourself. You do things to protect yourself. If somebody's actually attacking you, I'm not telling you to let them, okay? But if it's just psychological and it's just one of these layers of the psyche, don't kid yourself. If you keep it, you kept it. If you let it go, you let it go. So basically, you need to achieve a state where you become comfortable inside while this process is taking place. That's what your techniques are all about. That's why you meditate. Take 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. Sit down, whatever technique you use is fine, but simple one is just follow your breath. Just follow your breath and count to 20, and then go back to 1 while your breath's going in and out. Just do that. You won't be able to do it, so practice. You just practice, right? And you'll be able to do it eventually. Just you learn to play the piano, you learn the language, you learn calculus. Basically, you get to the point where you realize it's just something I need to learn. You learn to ride a bike, you learn to drive a car, you learn tennis, you learn all kinds of stuff. Don't think you're supposed to be able to do it. You will not be able to sit down for 15 minutes, watch your breath go in and out, and count to 20, and then come back to 1 and count to 20, and 15 minutes is over, and that's all you did during those 15 minutes. There, I told you, don't get guilty, don't freak out. You will not be able to do it. Isn't that amazing? All right? It's like you will not be able to sit down at the piano and play Beethoven if you've never played before. You just won't. I'm sorry. I know you want to, but you won't. All right? You need scales first. Eventually you can. If you're sincere about it and you work on it and you give it the right amount of time and effort, you will be able to do it. It's the same thing here. Why would I do that? Because what you are really doing when you are meditating is not about what you're doing. It's about what you're not doing. During that time, you are not listening to your mind because you are instead watching your breath or counting. So if your mind is sitting there saying, oh, but what am I going to do? I'm here, it's 15 minutes. Oh, my God, I wonder where my boyfriend is. It's sitting there doing this stuff. You don't have to fight it. Just watch your breath. I'm telling you, do not try to stop your mind. Just take your awareness and put it on your breath. People get it all wrong. It's very important that we talk, right? Meditation is not about stopping your mind. Meditation is about taking your awareness and putting it on something other than your mind. It just so happens your mind will stop when you stop paying attention to it. An ignored guest quickly leaves. But if you sit there and pay attention to it and try to stop it, it won't stop. So meditation is not mind control. It is not about stopping your mind. Isn't that nice? That's a lot. Whew, thank God. It is about taking your awareness of being and putting it on something other than what your mind is saying. And you won't be able to do that at first. Just like you won't be able to stop smoking cigarettes the minute you try. You'll still want to do it, right? So you just practice. And over time, you will get good at it. And then what's going to happen is you'll be going about your business during the day, and somebody will say something, the boss will say something, and you'll get a hit. And the next thing you know, you'll start watching your breath. Because if you learn how to do it when you're sitting there 15 minutes, why can't you do it in the middle of the day? When I was training myself back in the early days, the 70s, I would meditate a lot. Then every time I got into my car, every single time that I got into my car, before I would put that key in there and start that car, I would come back to my breath. And then before I got out of my car, I'd get back to my breath. And then every time before I'd walk through a door, when I'd put my hand out to get that doorknob or push that door, I come back to my breath. and just train myself all the time during the day, these little magic moments, to come back to watching my breath instead of watching my mind. Okay? And eventually, you will reach a state where you're always there, where you never lose it, where if the stuff gets hit, you see it get hit, and you just relax. You just watch your breath, you just relax. And you learn to achieve a state within yourself. Christ called it the peace that passeth all understanding. It's easy to understand peace when things are going the way you want. He's saying, how can you be at peace when your stuff just got hit? You can be at peace behind your stuff. Doesn't mean your stuff is at peace. You're at peace. Okay? So those are what all these techniques are about, is building the strength within yourself. Your center is so strong that it can handle that this stuff is coming up. Now what do? Let it come up. How? You don't have to let it come. You have to pull it up. Just don't do anything to stop it, and it will come up. It's the natural flow. It doesn't want to be down there. That's why it tries to keep coming up all the time. All right? It's trying to release. Purification is a natural process. And so you just keep letting go. That's all I can tell you. I started the conversation by saying spirituality is not something you do on the weekends or an hour here, an hour there, or some retreat. It's every moment of every single second of your life. And then what will happen is you'll learn, and I want you to learn, to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Just be comfortable, just relax. And pretty soon you'll like it. It's kind of fun. And then you're going to find out that the more you let go, the happier you are. All of a sudden you're just happier. You wake up in the morning, you're happy instead of worried. All right? You go through your life and you see people. You're excited to see them instead of concerned about what you said last time or what are they going to say to you or, oh my God, I don't want to deal with that now. All right? That all goes away because you don't have this garbage inside of you. And then you reach this point. That's what I call the turning point. Right? Now you're not having the negativity. You've gotten rid of the negativity. You let go a little bit more. And what happens is you shift your attention. It happens naturally. You shift your seat of consciousness from sitting in the mind and knowing everything the mind is saying and the heart is feeling to sitting back where you sit, back here in the seat of self. From the place you look, from the place you watch your mind, more of you consciousness is sitting in that place. That place is beautiful. It's just its natural state. In yoga we call it Satchitananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. And I mean that. Eternal, meaning it never stops. Conscious, meaning you're totally aware of what? Waves of ecstasy, waves of love, waves of beauty. That's what they mean. Now we're talking spiritual. That's what you think spiritual is, right? I want you to achieve that state by letting go of what's keeping you from that. What's keeping you from yourself is you're being distracted by the garbage you stored inside of you. If you get rid of that garbage, nothing distracts you from the seat of self. It's the most natural thing in the world. You have to try. I need to try and find myself. If you stop leaving yourself, you end up in yourself. You end up in the self. And then you start feeling this beauty, and then it starts pulling you up into it, and that's the whole ascent and the beauty. But you're still going about your business. You're still going to work, you're married, not, whatever, doesn't matter. You're not being fed from the outside. Now you're being fed from the inside. It's very beautiful. Such a person, their eyes are so deep, their face emits light. Anyone who comes around them is lifted. They're truly a spiritual being, not because of what they believe, not because they signed the back of the Bible or the Gita, or can read the Gita in Sanskrit backwards or anything like that. It has nothing to do with any of that, right? It has to do with the fact that you died to be reborn. I always like that in the end, I'm a nice Jewish yogi, and it always comes back to Christ. What does that mean? The kingdom is within you. You must die to be reborn. It means everything we just talked about, that you are that state. He said the kingdom is within you. And so you start to realize it really is, but I'm hanging out with my personal self, and that has to go. And you don't fight with it, you release it. You just release it. It falls off naturally, and then these higher states happen naturally. You don't have to do anything. So that's a spiritual life. All right, very good. Work on these things. Jagrata.